Why you must listen. Leo stared at the application form, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The job interview, a gateway to his dreams, demanded fluent English. A wave of dread washed over him, a familiar feeling whenever he contemplated speaking. He knew the words, but they seemed trapped. He had studied grammar, memorized vocabulary, but conversation felt like an insurmountable mountain. Every attempt to speak resulted in stumbles, pauses, and an overwhelming sense of embarrassment. He desperately wanted to communicate, yet a silent barrier always remained. His friend, Maya, a patient and wise tutor, noticed his struggles. "Leo," she began gently, "why you must listen is the absolute first step, truly foundational. It's not just about hearing words, it's about internalizing rhythm, intonation, and natural phrasing. Immerse yourself completely." Maya encouraged him to listen to podcasts, watch English movies without subtitles initially, and pay close attention to native speakers. "Let the sounds wash over you," she advised. "Don't try to understand every single word immediately. Just absorb the flow." Reluctantly, Leo began to follow her advice, spending hours simply listening. He started with simple children's stories, then moved to news broadcasts and interviews. He noticed subtle patterns, how sentences connected, and the common expressions used frequently. "Now, for how to take first step for talking," Maya explained, a warm smile on her face. "Start small, Leo. Whisper to yourself. Describe objects around your room aloud. Don't worry about perfection, just get your vocal cords moving. It's about building confidence gradually." Leo felt silly at first, muttering descriptions of his bed, his desk, his cup of tea. He felt awkward, but Maya insisted. "This simple act breaks the ice with your own voice. It makes the idea of speaking less daunting, paving the way for bigger steps later." Then came the crucial stage, why you should practice speaking, Maya emphasized. "It's the muscle memory. Thinking about English isn't enough, you must engage your mouth and brain simultaneously. Consistent practice rewires your linguistic pathways effectively." She set up daily English talking practice sessions. They started with basic dialogues, then moved to discussing daily events. Leo's initial attempts were painfully slow, filled with pauses and repetitive phrases. He still felt a strong pang of self-consciousness. "Remember, this is a way of learning English that requires patience and persistence," Maya reassured him. "There's no magic shortcut. It's a journey of consistent effort. Every single word you utter, no matter how imperfect, builds a stronger foundation for fluency." She introduced him to various methods on how to practice English. They used flashcards for vocabulary recall and practiced role-playing different scenarios. Maya even encouraged him to record himself speaking, which was initially mortifying for Leo. The recordings highlighted his mistakes, making him cringe. "I don't want to make mistake, but I always why," he confessed one day, his voice thick with frustration. He felt trapped by his imperfections, afraid to speak for fear of further errors. Maya nodded empathetically. "Everyone makes mistakes, Leo. It's a natural part of learning. Think of them as signposts guiding you to what you need to improve, not as failures. Embracing errors frees you to experiment with language more confidently." She then suggested English story reading. Read aloud, she instructed. Not just silently. Pick engaging stories. This improves pronunciation, rhythm, and introduces new vocabulary and context. It makes learning enjoyable and less like a chore. Leo began reading simple novels and short stories. The act of voicing characters, even in a hesitant whisper, helped him connect words to their sounds. He discovered new phrases and idioms embedded within the narratives, enriching his understanding significantly. Maya also shared "Let me tell you" talking tips. Focus on key phrases rather than perfect grammar initially. Use filler words naturally. Don't translate in your head, think directly in English. And most importantly, smile and maintain eye contact. She emphasized the importance of paraphrasing when he couldn't find the exact word. Describe it, she urged. This expands your expressive capabilities beyond just memorized vocabulary. It makes you a more resourceful communicator instantly. For how to improve your fluency, Maya advised, it's about connecting ideas smoothly. Practice linking words, using contractions, and varying your sentence structure. The goal is to make your speech flow naturally, like a river, not a broken stream. Leo dedicated himself to the routine. He listened to English while cooking, spoke to himself in the shower, and read a chapter of an English book every night before bed. His initial fear slowly began to recede, replaced by a growing sense of competence. He started seeking out opportunities for real-life conversations, albeit small ones. A polite inquiry at the grocery store, a quick chat with his neighbor about the weather, these tiny interactions built his courage exponentially. The fear of judgment still lingered, a phantom limb of his past anxieties. But Maya's words echoed in his mind, mistakes are progress. Every single one teaches you something invaluable. Embrace the learning curve. He noticed a shift. Words that once felt foreign on his tongue now emerged with greater ease. Sentences formed more coherently, and the painful pauses became less frequent. A quiet satisfaction began to bloom within his chest. One evening, while reading a challenging English novel, he realized he understood more than he ever thought possible. The story captivated him, and he wasn't constantly stopping to look up words. This was a significant milestone. His practice sessions with Maya became more dynamic. They discussed complex topics, debated current events, and even shared jokes in English. Leo found himself laughing, genuinely enjoying the linguistic exchange, a joy he never imagined. The upcoming interview still loomed, but the paralyzing fear had diminished considerably. He still felt nervous, but it was a manageable nervousness, tinged with a newfound excitement for the challenge ahead. He rehearsed potential questions and answers, focusing not just on content, but on delivery. Maya coached him on tone, pace, and clarity. Speak with conviction, Leo, she advised. Your confidence will shine through your words, believe me. The day of the interview arrived. Leo walked into the office, his palms slightly sweaty, but his mind clear. He remembered Maya's first advice: listen. He focused intently on the interviewer's questions, letting each word sink in fully. When it was his turn to speak, he took a deep breath. He started slowly, deliberately, just as he had practiced describing objects in his room. The first few sentences felt wobbly, but he pushed through the initial discomfort. He remembered the talking tips: maintain eye contact, smile, and paraphrase if needed. He didn't translate in his head, he thought directly in English, allowing ideas to flow more naturally from his mind to his tongue. A mistake slipped out, a misplaced verb tense. For a fleeting second, the old anxiety threatened to resurface. But he caught himself, corrected it smoothly, and continued without dwelling, remembering that mistakes are just learning opportunities. He spoke about his experience, his aspirations, and why he was the right fit for the role. He used examples from his English story reading, inadvertently showcasing his expanded vocabulary and understanding of nuances. The interviewer listened, occasionally nodding. Leo felt a sense of liberation he had never experienced before. He wasn't just speaking, he was communicating effectively, conveying his thoughts and personality with growing ease. He concluded his answers, feeling a quiet pride swell within him. He had faced his greatest fear, the fear of inadequacy in English, and had not only spoken, but had spoken well, confidently expressing himself. A week later, the call came. Leo got the job. His heart soared. It wasn't just about the job, it was about the journey, the transformation he had undergone, all because he dared to take that first terrifying step. He called Maya immediately, his voice brimming with excitement. "I did it," he exclaimed. "Your advice, every single tip, it truly worked. I couldn't have done it without you guiding me through the process." Maya laughed joyfully. "No, Leo, you did it yourself. I just showed you the way of learning English. You had the courage to follow it, to embrace the struggle, and to relentlessly practice speaking. That's your achievement." From that day forward, Leo's English fluency continued to improve exponentially. He sought out more opportunities to speak, joined English discussion groups, and even began helping other learners overcome their own anxieties. He understood now that listening was foundational, providing the rich input necessary for speech. Without attentive listening, his vocabulary and pronunciation would have remained stunted, lacking natural flow and intonation. The courage to take that first step for talking, no matter how small or awkward, was the ignition. Whispering to himself, describing simple objects, these initial acts broke the mental barrier that had imprisoned his voice for so long. He learned that simply knowing grammar rules was insufficient. Why you should practice speaking was the active ingredient. It transformed theoretical knowledge into practical, spontaneous communication, building neural pathways for fluency. English talking practice became less of a chore and more of an adventure. Each conversation, each role play, was an opportunity to experiment, to refine, and to grow more comfortable expressing his authentic self in a new language. He discovered that the way of learning English wasn't linear, it had ups and downs. There were days of frustration, but by maintaining consistency, he always eventually pushed through the plateaus and reached new levels of proficiency. The variety of methods on how to practice English, from self-recording to reading aloud, kept his learning fresh and effective. Each technique targeted a different aspect of language acquisition, reinforcing his skills comprehensively. His greatest breakthrough was overcoming the paralyzing fear of mistakes. He now saw, "I don't want make mistake, but I always why" as an old, outdated belief. Mistakes were no longer roadblocks, they were essential components of his learning journey. English story reading had opened up new worlds, not just of vocabulary, but of cultural context and narrative structures. It deepened his understanding of how language was used naturally, beyond mere transactional conversations. The specific talking tips from Maya provided practical tools for immediate improvement, helping him navigate tricky conversational situations. They empowered him to speak even when perfect word recall eluded him, fostering resilience. He realized that improving his fluency was an ongoing process, a dance between consistent practice and conscious effort to refine his speech. It wasn't about being perfect, but about being able to express himself smoothly and clearly. Leo often thought about his journey, from silent apprehension to confident articulation. He now volunteered at a local community center, helping newcomers with their English, sharing his own story and the tips he had learned. He knew firsthand the terror of speaking, the frustration of feeling unheard. He emphasized the same principles Maya had taught him: listen intently, start small, practice relentlessly, and embrace every single mistake as a teacher. Your voice matters, he would tell them, his own voice strong and clear now. It's a journey, not a race. Each word, each sentence, is a step towards unlocking a new part of yourself, a new world of opportunities. Leo's story became an inspiration, a testament to the power of perseverance and the right guidance. He was living proof that even the most daunting linguistic barriers could be overcome with consistent effort and a belief in oneself. He even started a small online group, sharing his "Let Me Tell You" talking tips and encouraging others. He posted short videos, demonstrating practice techniques and offering motivational words to aspiring English speakers worldwide. His message resonated deeply: why you must listen, how to take first step for talking, why you should practice speaking. These weren't just abstract ideas. They were actionable steps, a roadmap to unlocking linguistic potential. The fear of making mistakes, once his greatest adversary, had transformed into a learning companion. He taught others to view their errors not as failures, but as invaluable feedback, helping them refine their English speaking skills. Leo, the shy man who once feared speaking a single English word, now spoke with confidence and grace. His life had expanded, his opportunities multiplied, all because he chose to listen, to speak, and to never give up on his voice.